Straw Hut Media.
Hi, listeners, and happy summer. We're talking about a pair of big summer blockbusters in this 80th episode of Release Date Rewind, a podcast that celebrates milestone movie anniversaries. I'm your host, Mark J. Parker, a movie lover and movie maker, and thank you for listening to my show on the Straw Hut Media Network wherever you get your podcasts, or watching on YouTube. We're diving into another double feature, and this one is epic because these sci-fi horror comedy classics came out on the same day 4 decades ago on June 8th, 1984. We're celebrating the 40th anniversary of Ivan Reitman's Ghostbusters and Joe Dante's Gremlins. Both films were first intended to be darker than what we got, but lightened up as they were made. Although Gremlins wasn't light enough since some parents thought it was appropriate for kids. Now, if you need to watch or rewatch these super fun and successful movies that ignited franchises, Ghostbusters is currently available to stream on Peacock, while Gremlins is surprisingly not streaming anywhere with a subscription, but you can find it online or at your library. Alright kids, there's something strange in the neighborhood and things are about to get pretty PG-13 because it's time to rewind. All right, my friends, I am so happy to have her on the show. She's on the show at least once or twice a year. She's back for an 80s double feature that I'm so excited about. Everybody, welcome Solana Sorrento, the one and only back on the show. The Slimer to my Gozer, or maybe I'm Slimer, maybe you're Gozer. I don't know. You're Gizmo, I'm Stripe, the bad gremlin. I don't know, whatever you want to be. How's it going, Solana? Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me again.
You look great. We were just saying you're repping the Ghostbusters on your shirt. I'm repping Gizmo. My cute little Gizmo on my shirt. Where you got both of these. I love it, love it. We were just talking about how absolutely hot it's been in both your neck of the woods and mine. How are you doing with the heat? What's been going on? Fill us in a little bit. You said you were going to various graduation parties. I mean, I feel like you've been very busy. How's life?
Right now it's been busy. I have my mom's recital, graduation parties. Our air broke today.
Oh my God.
But hopefully it'll be fixed by tomorrow. So it's a little dark in here. We have the blind shut and the fans
Are you gonna
going.
be able to sleep okay? Because I kind of need a cold at night to sleep. Do you too?
Yeah, I have a leather couch, so I'll just sleep on that. But
totally.
I'm calling the emergency maintenance and
please. Because how hot is it going to be tomorrow? I think it's going to be pretty warm for us.
It's going to be like 95, but feel like 105.
Oh, Jesus. Solana. Oh, my God.
I know.
I feel like this is like a gremlin situation. It's going to get too hot, too sunlight.
I know.
You're going to spill water. Like we need the air fixed right away, please. Right? Oh, God. Yeah, that's actually kind of scary. So please, I do hope maybe go to the movies or something if you need to, or go to a mall. I don't know. Just sit in a store, a Barnes and Noble.
I know, and just sit there in the air,
Yeah, right? Oh, God. But summer's here, whether we like it or not, Solana. So let the sweat begin, right?
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So let's rewind, Solana. Let's go back. Enough of our current modern day problems. Let's go back 40 years. Can you believe... Because I don't know if enough people know this. I had forgotten. I didn't really know. Maybe you did. Can you believe 40 years ago, June 8th, 1984, these two big movies came out the same day, Ghostbusters and Gremlins? That's wild.
I know.
You know?
I know. I definitely, I was alive then.
But yeah,
I was one.
You were a little gremlin.
Yeah, I was a little gremlin. I was 13 months old. Because my birthday was May 9th, and I definitely would have went to one movie and snuck in and went to go to the other.
Right? What a double feature! Absolutely, I just can't believe it's funny because nowadays it's so different at the movies. You know, half of them are dying, and especially with last year's strikes, we don't have as many movies. It feels like right now, but studios nowadays would never have two sci-fi action comedy suspense. These movies are so similar in tone that how funny that one studio didn't say, oh, like you're coming out that day. All right, well, we'll have to come out like a week or two later. You know what I mean?
I know. Yeah. I
That's so
know.
funny.
I wonder if they were different studios or.
I'm pretty sure you bring up a good point. I think
Yeah.
Ghostbusters right now is on Peacock. So I think, is that Universal Pictures? Let me see real quick.
I remember it was the lady holding the torch at the beginning.
Yes, you're right. It was what is that? Columbia Pictures.
Columbia, yeah.
So I don't know who owns Columbia. Maybe it's Universal now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Columbia, and then Gremlins. I think was Gremlins Paramount. The poster said, "Oh, it's Warner Brothers."
Oh, okay.
It was WB.
Well, maybe that kind of makes sense. They're competitors, so
yeah. So they just thought we're gonna just see, because I mean, also it's pretty amazing that these two movies were and are so successful, because they might not have been. They could have been total flops. I mean, you have one movie about this ragtag group of people zapping ghosts and like cracking jokes, and it's like that could have been a total mistake, right?
Yeah.
And then Gremlins, maybe even riskier, like Steven Spielberg producing this like little monster movie with like a cute gremlin and these chaotic, goofy thing, like, but they both have been super successful. Obviously, they have franchises, you know?
Yeah.
It's like so awesome. Which one do you like more? I think I know, but tell the crowd.
Yeah, Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters was everything to me. It still is my number one favorite movie. I don't even know when I first watched it. I don't remember not watching it.
Yeah.
I was probably young because I always liked scary stuff, and my mom was probably like, "Oh, watch Ghostbusters. It's not scary."
Right.
You know?
It's both of these movies are great gateway horror movies for kids. I mean, they both we'll get into moments, but they both can definitely get pretty serious and scary.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I know, like you know how I watch all those like ghost hunting shows? Well, like Ghost Hunters. I remember Jason, the main guy, said if your house is haunted and it's not like a demon or whatever, they said show your kids Ghostbusters so they're not afraid. You know, so they see that, But I mean, that's kind of, I guess some parts are scary, but I don't know scary anymore because
I know
nothing's
You're like, I want to watch like a bloody murder story to ease my stress. I need to just chill out and watch something light, right?
Yeah. Like it never scared me. And I mean, I had a best friend growing up across the street. His name was Peter. Every day we played Ghostbusters.
Really?
Like, I was Janine. I loved Janine.
You were
for some reason.
Janine.
I loved Janine. And then he was Peter, of course. And then like when Ghostbusters 2 came out, I never played with dolls, but I asked for a baby Oscar doll and a carriage. So then Peter and I would push it down my driveway because it was a hill, and we'd run after it because it was baby Oscar.
God.
But I mean, I had everything. I had the firehouse. I had the tent that you can put in your house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I had clothes. I had, for my birthday party in kindergarten, I had the plates that said Ghostbusters, but it was the cartoon, the real Ghostbusters. For Halloween, I wanted to be Janine for Halloween so bad. And I wanted my mom to buy me a wig, but she got me this red one. And I was like, no, it's not like Janine on, the movie. But then I ended up being the cartoon Janine.
Oh, okay.
So it was red like that. And I got a Ghostbusters costume, and I made my grandmother dye it pink.
Oh.
I have to find the picture, and I'll have to send it to you.
You have to.
Yeah. And so I carried a phone and a notepad, and I had earrings, and I wore, my grandmother had pink cowboy boots, and I put them on, and they were so big that we stuffed them.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
So I was Janine for Halloween. I have to find a picture.
Oh, that's so cute. You were basically, you were the first female Ghostbusters before we had the female version.
Yeah, and I know everybody hates that, but I loved it just because nobody, like growing up, except other boys, like I was always the only girl that loved Ghostbusters. I had walkie-talkies. I had toothpaste. I can't believe my mom let me drink Ecto Cooler. Like I'd bring it to school, and I had like their pictures on the wall. I have the 2 records from Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2.
Wow,
I still
that's
have.
awesome.
I wrote to Annie Potts. I have her autograph somewhere.
So what, did you write to her and she sent you like an autographed picture or something?
So like back then there was no internet. So my mom had like this book that had like a list of all celebrities like in the 80s. And she was on there. And so my mom wrote her a letter because I was only like 5 or 6 and I didn't, how much I loved her. And I, if I find it and it says best wishes, Annie Potts, and it's like, she looks, I think it was probably like around Designing Women time because she had that hair. Yeah. And I loved her. So like when the sequel came out and she came on the screen, nobody else was there because I went early and I was like screaming. I was like, Janine, I
like,
loved,
that's my friend.
I said that. Those are my friends. Yeah. No, I loved Janine. And
she's such a great character. She doesn't have much to do in the first one, at least.
No.
But her voice, her look, the hair, the glasses. I mean, I would love to actually read the script and see if she was written that way or if, then they changed it for her, because what an interesting, like, quirky character, so unique, right?
Yeah.
The voice.
I know. And I always seem to gravitate towards those, like, I mean, I love like Karen Walker. Like she's kind of like the same idea of, And, I just, for some reason, I just loved her. And it wasn't, I loved Dana, but not as much as Janine. Like I wanted to be Janine.
Ghosts.
Hello, Ghostbusters.
They're real.
You do? You have?
They're here.
That's a good point because Dana, I feel like maybe it's just me or people like me because I love Ghostbusters, but I'm not as much of a diehard as you. Like this was my first time rewatching the original in full in a really long time. Like I had just seen the latest one in theaters this year, Frozen Empire. Did you see that one yet?
Yes, I saw.
We'll talk about the whole franchise in a bit, but so I've seen some of the newer ones. I know it, but it had been so long, and I forgot that Dana Sigourney Weaver, who is just so also kick-ass, amazing, beautiful. Like she's got so much to do in that movie. But the focus is always on the guys, very rarely on the girls. And we have some awesome girls on that screen. Not many.
Yeah.
But the few that we have are so memorable,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even Gozer. Like
totally. Oh my God. And Solana, I thought you might laugh. Because I know you also are like a musical theater queen and you love Judy Garland, Rewatching Gozer, I realized today, I'm like, wait, she's kind of like she looks like if Judy Garland was possessed. Do you see it?
Or like Liza Minnelli, like or right now,
like the face and the hair. I'm just like, wait, that looks like Judy with red eyes, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are you a god?
No.
Then
How smart that they had a badass, scary female villain. I mean, we know that Gozer can take many different shapes, right? They even say whoever it wants to be. But this kind of like hot, kind of like pop star looking, real like fit little Tinkerbell crazy demon. I love that.
This chick is toast.
Because it could have been a guy, which we got in Ghostbusters 2, which I do love.
Right.
That one. I think it gets some, I shouldn't say hate, but it gets some less love than the first one. But I remember that one super well. The scary guy.
Yeah.
All the goo.
Yes. Right? I think right now Ghostbusters 2 is more appreciated, especially I think like from people our age.
Yeah.
Back then it didn't do so great because I think like probably like our parents that first saw Ghostbusters expected like the same thing. Yeah. But I mean, I loved Ghostbusters too back then too,
Totally.
Anything Ghostbusters.
And isn't it wild that it took so long for us to get another Ghostbusters movie? Because it was one, a few years later it was two, and then, am I right? The next movie wasn't until the recent female reboot.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah, and I think it was because I read that what's it called? Bill Murray, he didn't want to like he was like going back and forth with Dan Aykroyd, and I think he had a fight with Harold Ramis. I don't know about what. I think it was about another movie they did. I don't know if it was like Groundhog Day or not Groundhog Day. There was another movie that Harold Ramis directed or produced, and they had like a falling out.
Oh, this is sort of ringing a bell.
Maybe
now that
like
you're saying
it's
it.
like What About Bob? One of those movies, like What About Bob, or one of those that they did after Ghostbusters or after Ghostbusters 2, and they had a falling out. And then I think before Harold Ramis died, they like made up. But like by then they had something in the works, but then then he passed away. And then, but fun fact, I was working at, I don't know, I guess it was Kelly and maybe Michael, or maybe it was Regis and Kelly. I don't know. But when he died, I was there, and I was like, I'm going to go to the firehouse. So I went to the firehouse, and like people left Twinkies when he died. And I was like, I was so sad because I loved Egon. He was my favorite. I loved Egon.
What? Yeah. So you love Janine. Janine's your favorite female character, and then Egon's your favorite male character from the franchise. Yeah. He's so understated. What's great about this is each of them are so unique and different. Like they're a great group, but like they have their own voice, their own, kind of tone, their own kind of jokes, and he's so kind of like monotone and flat, but like and dry. Yeah, he's great. He's so great. We'll be right back.
Ghostbusters.
Hey, anybody see a ghost?
They catch the ghost that won't stay dead.
When they first wrote Ghostbusters, Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd, this is what I read, but they had John Belushi in mind to play Peter Venkman. And then he died, and then that's why they have Slimer, because that's like that's like John Belushi in Animal House. If you look at him in Animal House,
yes. Oh my gosh, I did not know. So Slimer's sort of like an homage to John Belushi.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And
that's
then
really sweet.
Then I know I'm jumping ahead, but like this is my movie. But then I think they were supposed to have Eddie Murphy play Winston.
Oh, interesting. I was wondering, because I love Ernie Hudson, but it is surprising that they didn't try to get, I don't know, just like someone else, because you have Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd. A lot of these guys were on SNL,
right? And so John. Well, okay, so Eddie Murphy was supposed to be Winston, but then he took Beverly Hills Cop. Over Ghostbusters. And then
that came out later in '84, I believe.
And then they shortened Ernie Hudson's part after it wasn't Eddie Murphy. And I'm glad they kind of made up for it in the past couple movies. They gave him more lines, and even in Ghostbusters 2, they gave him more, which I think he deserved, because they cut out a lot of scenes with him. And
why? That's so interesting. Just because he wasn't as famous, I guess. Like,
I think
weird.
so. Yeah.
I totally forgot up until rewatching it yesterday. Totally forgot that. Ernie Hudson comes in about halfway through the movie.
Right.
Yeah. Because I just remembered Ghostbusters 2 so well, where he's totally one of the four. Like, and I mean, Ernie Hudson wasn't even on the poster for the first one. I mean, it was just the three.
Right?
Which I know that has gotten some heat over the years, and
that always bothered me, though. That always bothered me, because there was four. There's four Ghostbusters. Now I love it because they're even including Janine, which I'm so happy about.
Yes. Well, it's also funny because the female version with Kristen Wiig and Melissa McCarthy, Chris Hemsworth was all over the posters, and he was sort of like the male Janine in a way, even though very different character-wise, but like kind of their assistant, glasses and all that. He was in all the posters. So I'm like, wait a minute. And of course, yes, we know he's famous and cute and everything, but I was like, okay, the women never were on any of the posters. Right? I know. Not even Sigourney. Like, it was all about like the main Ghostbusters. So I did think that was a little strange. But
I mean, I know everybody doesn't like that, but I kind of like, if it's on, I'll watch it. I mean, it's not, the original, but I just liked it because for me, they were women, and
Yeah.
I could be them for Halloween now and not have to make my own costume.
Absolutely. Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to although I would love to see. Oh my God. I just love that I envision like you're like half pink lady, half Ghostbuster,
Yeah.
and you're pink,
That's
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But like I would love if like another movie, because I'm sure there's gonna be another one, like for Halloween or whatever. Like, yeah, like let's like add some color to the suits, Let's like
Yeah.
make them a little unique, like tie-dye or
Right.
pink or whatever. I'm kind of surprised they haven't done that yet. They're still all, the classic, like
Yeah.
beige brown.
They're armed. They're dangerous.
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
All right, that's bad. Okay. All right, important safety tip. Thanks, Egon.
Yeah, well, let me ask you real quick, since we're talking about the different movies. How would you rank them, Solana? There are a total of what, 5 Ghostbusters movies, I believe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
How would you rank them?
So obviously the original is number 1.
Yep.
Then I think Ghostbusters 2, just because I do
group.
like it. Yeah. Then I actually so I cried obviously on the first remake, Ghostbusters.
What's it called? Afterlife?
Yeah. Afterlife, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I cried at the, all right. Spoiler alert. Yeah.
Oh yeah. We'll spoil everything.
Yeah.
Tell
like
us.
when they had Egon's ghost. Like, yeah, I cried. Of course I cried. So I would say actually the new one, I laughed a lot. And my mom even enjoyed it. So I would rank that as number 3. Then number 4, the Afterlife, and then number 5, the women.
The women. Okay.
Yeah.
So even though you do love the female
I do love
version,
them, but
it's your like least favorite, but still they're all good in your mind.
Yeah.
I saw Afterlife on a plane, so I watched most of it. I think I remember it, but the new ones, Afterlife and Frozen Empire. Frozen Empire, I saw at this cute dinner theater in Vermont when it was my birthday for the eclipse. So I was there with Greg and my family, and it was fun, like hearing my dad laugh and seeing Slimer and the little mini Stay Puffed marshmallow men. Like we were having a good time. There's something about the 2 new ones. And even the third one with the women, but the female version. I mean, well, wait. First of all, does that have a subtitle? Is it just called Ghostbusters?
I think Answer the Call.
Oh yeah, I think that's not what they call it. Although when it came out, I think it was just called Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah. But I think it's like Answer the Call, because it's a play on Chris Hemsworth never answering the phone, and like they've been called to. I don't know. Yeah.
I do think it could be fun. Like, do you think we'll ever see the female like characters again, or like I could see them merging with like Paul Rudd and some of these new people a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe do fans just not want that? What do you think?
I think right now they don't. Just like they didn't like Ghostbusters 2 as much when it came out. I think like give it some time. Like the next generation may like it better. Just like, with like Hocus Pocus. It's now like everyone loves it. I mean, back then it didn't do well in the theaters.
It took a little while to definitely find its fan base for sure. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, things get better with time for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, but there's just something about the newer ones. And I don't know, maybe because, I watched the original 2, the first 2 when we were kids, and they're so like, we'll get into our favorite scenes in a minute, but like they are so burned in my brain, much like Gremlins, like they are a part of us. Whereas the new ones are not obviously not really part of me, that it just feels a little, I don't want to say hollow, but it's not really for me anymore. And that's fine. I hope like younger people love it. I mean, they're fun to watch, but I don't really think of the new ones much at all. Do you know what I mean?
No. Yeah. Like the old ones, you can say lines from things that happen. Like you could be like, oh, this is like when,
the effects, the effects are just so impressive for 40 years ago. I mean, the way Slimer looks when they first meet him, the ghosts and the beasts and even the eggs that pop out of the carton. I've always loved that scene. When they're I'm like, wow, like how did they do all this? And same with Gremlins. So I think maybe that's also just like the true magic of seeing it when you were a kid and seeing like the actual physical
Yeah.
materials and not, CGI, I guess,
Yeah, I was gonna say sometimes it's better than CGI.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like even like the original Jurassic Park
Oh
compared to
God,
the
yeah.
new ones. Like I still like the original Jurassic Park, but I think sometimes CGI works, sometimes it doesn't.
Totally.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay, and then sometimes it's like, this is so fake. I kind of am just letting my eyes like
Yeah.
cross over, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I really did enjoy Frozen Empire. I thought it was interesting. You know, yeah. Afterlife,
Yeah.
I feel like I remember the least, so maybe that's my fifth one. The women, Answer the Call. I didn't mind. I just feel like Answer the Call didn't have a great bad guy. I feel like the villain, from what I
Right.
remember, was a little lackluster.
Yeah.
Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
But you have to watch they'll show it on TV, the longer version, like
Mm.
the scenes that were deleted.
Oh
So like
yeah.
some things make a little bit more sense.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like they cut out completely I can't think of her name, but she played Wilma Flintstone. Oh, I can't think of her name. And with the real
Um.
people. She's got red
Elizabeth
hair.
Perkins. Elizabeth
Yes.
Perkins.
She was
Yeah.
in the movie. And
Oh.
I didn't know that seeing it in theaters, but then when I watched it on TV, they usually show it on FX. They
Yep.
show the deleted scenes. So
Oh,
it's
smart. Oh, so she's a
yeah.
whole character that was cut. Oh God,
Yeah.
that's so weird.
She's like a professor where Kristen Wiig teaches at or something
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, or
Okay.
like her boss or something like that. See, I don't even
Interesting.
remember, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But real quick, I'll say about the Answer the Call, female reboot. I do think it was pretty perfect casting. I mean, they're all great. They're all so funny.
Yeah.
And most of them were from SNL, much like the
Right.
original cast. There was a
Yes.
lot of SNL
Yeah.
DNA in this movie. So I thought that was really smart. I mean, it makes
Yeah.
sense just casting wise, funny women, but also like what a great little nod. I can't remember who from the original group was in Answer the Call. Did like Bill Murray have a
Um
cameo or Dan Aykroyd?
Bill they all did. Bill
Oh, they
Murray,
all did? Okay.
um Annie Potts, Sigourney Weaver was in the credits. She was like a
Oh, interesting.
scientist with Kate
Oh,
McKinnon.
okay. Oh,
And
wow.
so you
Okay.
had to stay for the credits to see her.
Interesting.
And of course
Okay.
I do because I like reading the names. And
Oh,
I
of
look
course.
I
Yeah.
always look for Mark J. Parker.
Oh my
Yeah, you never
God.
know,
Too
right?
bad I haven't worked
Yeah.
on any of those.
I
Yeah.
know.
One day, maybe. Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice. Yeah. And plus, it's always fun to see like who's in the special thanks, like
Yeah.
who helped the movie in some way that
Right.
you're like, why are they in there?
Yeah.
What?
Or
Yeah.
or I always like to see like who their driver is. It'll be like driver
Oh, yeah.
2. Yeah. I don't know
Oh, yeah.
why,
Like,
but yeah.
or who like had an assistant and who didn't. It's like,
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
Kristen Wiig and
Yeah.
Melissa McCarthy had assistants, but
It's
the others didn't.
didn't
Oh,
yeah.
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 Or like their own makeup artist. Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
But I mean, I think everybody was in it, of course, except
Except
Rick
Harold Ramis.
Moranis.
Or,
Yeah. No,
Rick. Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Harold Ramis was in it because he was still alive, I think, right?
No,
Or am I
no, he
wrong?
was. They had a bust of him,
Okay.
like in
Yep.
the one scene when Kristen Wiig was
Right.
getting fired or
I
something.
remember now. You're right.
Yeah, you could
Yep.
see it like really big right behind her
But
because
you're
I think
right.
he
No
had
Rick
just
Moranis.
yeah.
Yeah, because he's so like not. He does not want to be in the spotlight anymore.
No.
And can I just tell you, everyone who's listening or watching, Solana and I love Rick Moranis. We
Yes.
love him. I feel
Yes.
like I don't
Yeah.
even know, when did that start? Was it back when we were working on Beautiful Baby? We just were talking about him, and we're like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
we were talking about like Little Shop of Horrors and Honey I Shrunk the
Honey, I
Kid.
Shrunk the Kids, iconic. He's so
Yeah.
good. He's
Yeah, we're
just
like,
so
what
good in
happened to
everything he
him?
does.
And then he gets
I
punched
know.
in the face in New York, just
I
walking
know.
down the street.
And that just happened,
I
what, like in the
know.
last year or so,
Yeah,
right?
I felt so
That's
bad.
terrible. That's so
Yeah.
terrible. He is like the one guy who you cannot punch. Like, how
No.
dare that puncher? No, that's terrible. I know.
Yeah.
And I think we were talking, I think part of the reason why he retired from the spotlight, I think also was, I think his wife died. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
he
that's
wanted
so
to raise
sad.
his kids.
Mm-hmm.
So, but bringing him up, John Candy was supposed to be Louis
Oh,
Tully, but he
interesting. I
just
could see that.
when he got the script, he just couldn't. He just wasn't into it, and he
Oh,
I think he actually gave it to Rick and was like,
wow.
"Read this," yeah. Yeah.
Rick is, I would say, in the whole movie. I mean, we have great characters, but Rick
Yeah.
is Lewis is my favorite. There's just,
Yeah.
I remembered him so well. I mean, I truly was and still am a little bit scared when the beast dog is chasing after him
Right.
through Central Park.
Yes.
When he's at Tavern on the Green
Yes, I
screaming and no one
know.
cares. I mean, that's pretty horrific, you know? So I love, I just, it's funny. Like, it's a movie where, like I said, I hadn't seen it in years, but as soon as I play it, as soon as I see him, I'm like, oh my God, I can like say the lines. Oh my God, I
I
remember this
know.
apartment
Yeah.
hallway. Like, it's, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like, it's such a part of us because my dad
Yeah.
loved it, much like you. So
Yeah.
we would watch it repeatedly. So yeah, he's so good. I love Rick Moranis. I love
Yeah,
him.
I know. And what's funny is like one of the first times I met you, I think you were
Mm.
helping or you came to Tavern on the Green when we were doing one of the weddings.
Yep.
And like I had nobody to say, oh my God, this is the scene in Ghost. And if I knew you then, like I know you now, I would be like, let's go take a picture out there.
Oh
like,
my God.
yeah. And I'm surprised we never did that because we're so close. We just didn't
I
think.
know. You never.
Yeah. We're
And also
so
'cause I
close
feel
to
like
there.
we were so close to there working at ABC, but you're right. And
Yeah.
then I feel like not long after we started obviously working together and being friends, I feel like then it closed down, right? Because what is it now?
Yeah.
It's
I don't know.
I don't even know what I don't know what's there.
I don't know. I'm
It
not
doesn't look like
sure.
that, like in the
No.
movie 40 years ago. No way. So I
No.
don't even know what's there, but that would have
But
been
like,
so. You're
yeah, I
right. We should have
know.
done that. Oh
I
well.
know. But that whole area was like Central Park West was where the apartment was supposed to be. And I think
Yes.
I think it's actually there. Like if you come
I think
from
the
Columbus
exterior.
Circle. Yeah.
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 I know my friend Lucia, I feel like she lived for a time right around there. And when I was rewatching the movie, I'm like, I think I need to text Lucia. That might have been the outside of her apartment building because she lived in this building and she said like Whoopi Goldberg lived there. Like she saw some different people. And I just feel like the outside of the building looks like a place where like celebrities would live. Right around like the upper 60s on the west side, right there, Central Park West. So,
And then he jumps over that wall.
Yep.
When he runs out of the apartment. Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right into the park. I know. I love that area so much.
Yeah.
And that's near where our beloved Madonna lives, right?
Yes.
She lives right around that area, I think. Or she did.
Yeah. She
I know
did.
She has her
I
Upper
think.
East place, right? Upper East
Yeah.
Side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't we ever like go by all
I
these
know.
places? We
I
had it
know.
right there, and we're like,
I
let's
know.
go get a drink. Let's go to
You're so right.
Blockheads.
Let's go to Blockheads. Let's go
Yeah.
to China Fun. No,
Yeah.
we should have taken a break from the drinking and just stood outside of
Yes.
Madonna's house and at least seen something. I did have to stand outside of Madonna's house years ago when I worked at Extra to like with the video camera, just like waiting for her to leave. But I forget why. I don't know what was going on in her life. Oh, it might have been when she was with A-Rod.
Oh, okay.
Remember when like the tabloids were obsessed with that couple? Yeah, which is so funny now.
I know.
To think back at that, you know.
Yeah.
But I never saw her.
Yeah, no, I saw her get into her car because she went to the gym across the street. You know, from the studio.
Yeah.
And
what was it like a Reebok? Was it Reebok?
Yeah.
Or what was it? Yeah, something
and
like that.
They all went there, and I
Yep.
remember Cindy was like, she's walking backwards on the treadmill, and I was like, oh, and like, can I come in? Could you see
You're
me like on
oh
a
my
treadmill
God.
watching her, like just falling?
Oh my God. Yeah, just like tripping and being
Yeah.
like, it's fine. I'm
Yeah, I'm
here
just
with Madonna.
Yeah.
They're professionals.
Oh, I'm the chairman of the largest paranormal removal company in America.
You see it?
They're all that stands between you and the end of the world.
This is what was going on when Ghostbusters and Gremlins were released the same day, June 8th, 1984. Okay? A little bit of pop culture. How funny.
Yeah.
Donald Duck. It was Donald Duck's 50th birthday that weekend.
Aw.
These movies came out. So that means Donald Duck is now 100 years old. So there you go.
Oh,
a little
wow.
fun fact there that you might
Yeah.
not have known. But so I thought that was funny. They were celebrating Donald Duck's birthday that weekend in Disneyland. Meanwhile, the video game Tetris that we all have played at some point. Tetris had just been released in the Soviet Union 40 years ago. So it didn't make its way just yet to the US, but it would be soon. So I thought that was funny, a little time capsule. On the music side, I feel like you will love this, Solana. This is right up your alley. The number one song, can you guess? It wasn't Madonna, but it was in that kind of line of singers. Can you guess who might have been the number one singer?
Number one singer, was it like Cyndi Lauper or like? Yeah,
Exactly. Ding, ding, ding.
yeah.
Yep. Cyndi Lauper, Time After Time was the
Oh,
number one song when these movies came out. I mean, how perfect, iconic. And Bruce Springsteen had just released, just days before these movies came out, he released his very popular Born in the USA album, where we got obviously Born in the USA, Dancing in the Dark, which was the video that made Courtney Cox a star. She was in his music video dancing with him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we got some big Springsteen songs at this time, and other popular movies. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, talking about Steven Spielberg. I just talked about that on my last episode. That was killing it at the theaters. That had just come out in late May. And also Star Trek 3. I've never been a Star Trek
Me neither.
fan, really.
Me neither.
Or Star Wars, if I'm being honest. But I know some of those Star Trek movies, there are so many of them. People love them. So the third one was a big, big deal. Number one until Ghostbusters and Gremlins came out. And when they opened, Ghostbusters was number one by $1 million. They were only 1 million apart. Yep, I think it was around 13 million for Ghostbusters and 12 for Gremlins, and they were number one and number two for a few weeks. Just same spots, just raking in the money. So fun little double feature, and that's why we're talking about it, but talking about them both. Yeah. So now, Solana, I'm going to throw it over to you. I know we're kind of out of order, and I don't care. In your own words, for anyone out there who is, I'm worried about them, has no idea what Ghostbusters is. In your own words, keep it brief. What is Ghostbusters ultimately about?
So it's about three best friends. They're scientists, and they're really into paranormal research, and they get thrown out of their college where they're doing the research. Mm-hmm. And then Peter comes up with the idea to have business for themselves.
Yep.
And then they find a firehouse and they make that their home. And all the research that they did throughout the years, they put to use. And Egon makes a containment unit to catch the ghosts and put them in. And then they start a really successful business, and it's all over the news. They become celebrities, and they're running all around New York City and catching ghosts. And it's funny because only the ghosts are in New York City. Like you never see them go to like New Jersey or they
don't go to any of the other boroughs. No, it's really kind of just like in Manhattan, it seems, right?
Yeah. And then they fight this big demon that Egon warned them about, and with all his calculations and Tobin's Spirit Guide, his book that that had the list of all the ghosts and the class 4 roaming vapor and all that.
Yes, you know your stuff. I love it.
And then they get their first client, who of course Peter likes, and he wants to date her. And he doesn't get a chance because she turns into a demon dog. And sounds crazy when you say it out loud, but but
you believe it as you're watching. It works. It makes sense.
Yeah. Yep. And then all their research comes true, pretty much. Like everything that they've been researching and working for, they face like the biggest ghost possible, and they defeat it. And then everybody lives happily ever after until 1989.
With Ghostbusters 2, as the ghost does on the poster, which is so smart, actually. Very clever. Yes, absolutely. That epic finale, which we are definitely talking about soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. So many great moments, so many great performances. Everyone, I feel like, is on the top of their game, right?
Yeah.
So funny, great lines. Let me tell you a little bit about, we'll talk about the director and the writers. I love that the writers are two Ghostbusters, and according to IMDb, an uncredited Rick Moranis. Did you
really?
know that?
No, I didn't.
Now I don't know if that's accurate. I assume there's got to be some factual information for someone to put him on there. I guess.
I believe that because Harold Ramis and Rick Moranis, they were on SCTV, which was kind of like a SNL, but in Canada. I used to watch that. And like everybody was on that. Catherine O'Hara was on that.
So many people. Yep.
Eugene Levy, Martin Short. That's where they all. So it was exactly like Saturday Night Live. They had their own characters. And that's probably why, because I think they probably stayed friends from that
and collaborated, I'm sure, and created. Yeah. And I have to look more into it. Maybe Rick Moranis worked on like, maybe he was uncredited because maybe he just worked on like his dialogue or little things. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it says he is an uncredited writer with the credited writers, Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd. Right.
Yeah.
And it's
You know
directed
what?
by Ivan Reitman, who did Stripes and Meatballs
Yes.
prior to this with Bill Murray. So he had been working with Bill Murray,
Yeah.
multiple times. Great director. And he, of course, came back for Ghostbusters 2, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, I think that whole scene when Lewis is having the party, I think that was all improvised.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. So that's why they gave him writing credit. I don't know if every scene he did was improvised, but I know that I read somewhere that the party scene was all improvised.
I could totally believe that because the way Rick like delivers some of those lines and who does your taxes?
Yeah.
And I could see him coming up with some good stuff just on the fly like that. Yeah. Maybe that's why he has a little nod there on IMDb. Maybe. Interesting. Yeah, he's so good. He's such a scene stealer. And like I love like, when we first meet him, he's like nonstop talking to Dana and she's just trying to shut the door. She's like, "Bye, Lewis." It's just so and then he always gets locked out, which
I know.
Does scare me when like he's locked out, and the dog's in the hall.
Yeah.
And, like again, because it's that kind of thing where when you see a movie for the first time and it really sticks with you, I feel like you're always kind of look at it with that perspective. So even though I'm decades older, I'm still a little creeped out every now and then. I'm like, "Ooh, whoa!" Like this movie just went from like silly to like, "Oh shit, we got some issues. We got things running after us. We have levitation." Going back to The Exorcist, right? We got some real problems, right?
Yeah, there must have been something wrong with me when I was little because I laughed.
Oh,
I thought it was funny when like the demon dog hits his head, like how a dog runs and slides into a wall, and then the old lady comes out and is like, "Oh." That made me laugh so hard. Like, why? I wasn't scared of it.
And were you not scared at the Tavern on the Green scene when like, it's right there, like staring at him and he's like, okay, I was like, oh my God.
No.
But like in a thrilling way. Like I wasn't like, turn it off. I'm like, whoa, this is intense, But again, I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but like the librarian, I remember, like I spoke about him before, but my best friend Peter, we would Ghostbusters every day. He better listen to this, by the way. I'm going to tag him. Yeah.
Please do.
He was my best friend growing up and Ghostbusters every single day. So I don't know if he remembers this, but at the very beginning, I had a step in my kitchen. He would sit on the step and watch the library scene until that was over. And then he would come closer to the TV. I don't know if he remembers that.
Wow, because he was freaked out. It was a little too much for him.
And I was like, "Oh, come on! Like it's not scary." Like,
wow, interesting. The beginning is. I mean, let's go through the iconic scenes. Let's talk about our favorite scenes because I feel like this is a great time.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie starts and what an opening with that cute old lady that then later popped up in Ace Ventura. She's popped up in a couple things, right? I mean, also just what any library scene in the stacks, the bookshelves. It's always a little like dark and gloomy. I always love. I feel like I was always that kid that I'm like, ooh, okay, let's like play hide and seek down here. Let's like not actually do anything library related, And also the New York Public Library right there on 42nd, Bryant Park. I mean, I love that library. I've been there a bunch of times. I mean, what an iconic. That's the other cool thing about this movie is you got some really great landmarks, great New York energy, a lot of really good, creepy, which I had forgotten, shots and angles on like statues. The beginning of the statue of the lion, shot, and then the gargoyles and stuff. Like really cool, ominous, like beasts, that kind of imagery, right? But the beginning is just so fun, and then when it gets going, they're there, and then right there is the female, the old ghost lady, and they're trying to figure out how to talk to her, right? What do you make of the beginning and all that? What do you think of that?
Like when they see her. So like a lot of the jokes went over my head when I was younger, but like because I watch it like all the time. Like when I was older, like I would laugh like when the books were stacked and Peter was like, "You're right, no human would stack books like that." Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And you know, just certain scenes like that, like I'll still laugh. I will still
totally.
I've never seen it before. I mean, I loved it with the slime. And I always wanted to go in the basement of the New York Public Library just because. And I'm sure it probably is really haunted. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure there's gotta be something down there. But yeah, you're right, the slime. I love when Bill Murray just like keeps like wiping it on all the books and everything to get it off. Like really funny little like details like that. That again, I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if some of all their stuff is improvised, you know, because Bill Murray, I'm sure, right?
I mean, that's all they did really on SNL.
The city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion. Real wrath of God type stuff. Fire and brimstone coming down from the sky. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
And also you can just see Ghostbusters effect on other movies. You know, like I even could see like, you know, hints of like Beetlejuice and like, you know, just those fun, weird, wacky sci-fi comedy thrillers in a way, you know, that like came after this. You could see some of the same feeling and DNA and the same vibe, you know, in Joe's movies for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I meant to ask Solana, the college that they worked at, was that Columbia? Do you remember? It looks like
I think it was
University.
Columbia. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I had a friend that went there or went to Barnard. And so I spent some time on campus. It's so beautiful up there. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've been there, but is it Columbia or is it like maybe not even in New York? But yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And then I think in Ghostbusters 2, I think Egon's back at Columbia. Like at that first scene where Dana goes and visits him. I think. I should know that.
Yeah, now I really need to rewatch. Yeah, that guy is so scary. What was the bad guy's name?
Vigo?
Oh, Vigo.
Vigo, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Peter McNichol, who plays
my God, he's great.
Oh my gosh, he's so great. He's so great in everything he does. He is just so funny and so weird. Right?
Yeah.
Your girlfriend lives in the corner penthouse of Spook Central.
You want this body?
Is this a trick question?
Okay, so I know you don't think this movie is scary at all, weirdo.
Yeah.
But we got to talk about when Dana is taken by the demon. I mean, that was crazy. It's funny. I associate that part of the movie with like Poltergeist 1 and 2. Like I must have been watching those movies at that time of my life with my dad, with my family, because like same sort of like crazy, shocking, you know, lights and effects and all that. But yeah, when she's sitting in that chair and we see that, she already had opened the fridge, you know, and we see like crazy stuff happening in the fridge, which is just so odd and crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, when she sits there and you can see the outline of the door glowing and it opens, and then those beast arms are grabbing her and like touching her chest and her mouth. And that's pretty damn crazy.
Yeah.
Like that is so
80s
wild, like shocking, jolting. The chair is just zooming to the fridge, basically. Oh, what do you think of that? What were do you remember what you first thought of that moment?
I don't think I laughed, but I think I was just like, wow, like I wasn't scared.
You were just
like
like
I was
enthralled.
just like, they got her.
Yeah.
They got her. Like,
you
know, but like I think in the back of my mind, I knew they would save her.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I was like, they got her, but the Ghostbusters, they'll save her. Like Peter will save her. Yeah. But no, that I would have to say that is probably the scariest scene.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the librarian, really, like that when they're talking to her and then all of a sudden she, you know, I think those are the two scariest scenes. I mean, Stay Puft, that didn't really scare me.
No. If anything, I kind of like was sad that he died.
I know.
I know. So cute, you know, although I'm not going to lie, still to this day, I kind of want to be covered in the like wet, dewy marshmallow. Doesn't it, right? Doesn't that look so fun?
Yes.
Oh my God. I would love to just like jump in or just have it sprayed on me. And I'm not that kind of guy, not that kind of kid that needs like gooey stuff all over me. But like, just like, I imagine it's like so soft and pillowy and smells so good. Oh God.
Smoke it! Make him hard! Ready!
Ghostbusters.
When I was younger, I went to Universal in Florida, and they did have a Ghostbusters attraction. And I remember I took a picture with Egon, the fake Egon. Yeah.
Of
And I have to find that too. But
and that's so funny. You really are Janine, because Janine and Egon like have a thing going on.
Yeah,
right?
but then she's with Lewis, and like I need a follow up on that.
Yeah, you're right. And yeah, I forgot about Lewis. Yeah, she kind of fits Lewis a little better in a way. I forget. Is Lewis he's in the second one or no?
Second one, yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's where.
And then they get together, and like there was never any explanation like what happened with her and Egon. And then like in Afterlife, they're like, "Who are you?" And she's like, a friend."
Right.
So then who's what's her name's mother? Like that's what I want to know.
Yes.
Right.
What is that character? I know the actress Carrie Coon. Who's her mom? Interesting.
They never said that.
Explain that. Oh.
Right.
Huh. Okay.
And like, how old is she supposed to be? Because like, if she was born in like the 80s, I don't know. She looks older than me, I think. But
yeah. Carrie Coon's got to be like, I would assume she's at least mid 40s at least.
Yeah.
But the movie came out. Yeah. So, but
and she has two kids that are.
Yeah, you're right. I just realized the timing doesn't really make sense.
No.
Right?
So, yeah. And I was like trying to figure it out. And I was like, stop, you're ruining the movie. Just think about it later. Figure it out later.
I need to, I do like the younger characters, like in Afterlife.
Yeah.
The one kid. What's a podcast? I think.
Oh, I love him. I love him.
He's really
he's
fun.
funny. Yeah.
And
I love him.
Like there's the other girl. Like so the kids have some fun stuff to do, and
they're
not annoying, and they blend right in. But yeah, like Afterlife, we ended up having like a ton of characters. All in the same scene. I'm
like, how about We Are Farmers guy? The We Are, what's his real name? We Are Farmers, and he gets ripped in half. What's his name?
Right. Yes.
He won an Oscar. I call him We Are Farmers guy.
Is it J.K. Simmons? No.
Yes. Yeah.
Is that him? Yeah. Oh my. We Are Farmers.
That's what I call him. I don't know. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's right. Okay, I forgot about him.
And he gets ripped in half.
Yeah.
By Gozer.
These movies have like, definite like
jump scares. I think a few jump scares. Yeah.
Yeah. Like in the original Ghostbusters, there's no death from what I can remember. Am I right? There's no like humans die. Am I right?
No, just the girl that jumps out the window at Lewis's party. Like I need to follow up on all those people.
Shit. Oh my God, you're right. I forgot about her.
Yeah, and you know who she is in real life? She married Casey Kasem, and then years later, her Casey Kasem's kids accused her of elder abuse, and there's still like court cases going on.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
interesting.
And she's in like movies like extra like. Parts like she had it in Ghostbusters, like maybe a couple lines here and there. She's like the type of actress, like I don't even know her name, but like you'd be like, oh yeah, I remember her from.
Is she the blonde? That Rick Moran? Yeah, yeah. It's funny because you can tell like she's like somebody, but we don't know who she is. But like they like feature her randomly when there's a whole bunch of people. It's like why do we? And like she's standing out. Yeah.
Right, and they start dancing to Disco Inferno.
It's so random because she's like, I'm gonna go. He's like, no, let's start dancing. She's like, okay. It's like, what?
What happened to her? What happened to Ted and Annette Fleming that came in the party and he took their coats and threw it on the demon dog? Like,
oh my God, yeah. Like, I just remember being so excited in that shot when he throws it on the demon dog and being like, oh my God, it's in his apartment. Like, oh my, like as a kid, I was like, oh, like I was ready for it. I was like, oh, something big's going to happen. And something big did happen for sure.
Yeah.
And then of course we got to talk about, are you the keymaster? Which is so funny. And I had no idea, what really was going on. Like I wrote down, I have to say the line because it went completely over my head.
Yeah.
She goes, he says, that's a different look for you, isn't it? She says, are you the keymaster?
Yeah.
she says, "I want you inside me."
Yeah, that
I had no
totally
idea.
went over my head. Yeah.
Over our heads, and then I
Yeah.
love how his line is, might be a little crowded." And I'm like, "Oh my God, so funny," because of
Yeah.
course he can tell she's
Yeah.
possessed, right? But
Yeah.
Sigourney just looks so good in that red,
Yeah.
like so 80s. Like I just like that to me is just so 80s movie like
Yeah.
outfit, her hair,
Her
she
hair.
looks great. She's
Yeah.
writhing around like she is acting, honey. And then
Yes.
she levitates, she's turning. Oh my God, she's just so cool in this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
We
I
see such
know.
complete different sides of her, and then same with
Yeah.
with Rick, we see he's not as extreme. He's still kind of
No.
goofy as they're fun
Yeah.
together, and then they like are kissing, and
Yeah.
it's so like wrong,
I know. And that's what like they did with Paul Rudd and Carrie Coon, like
Right.
in Afterlife. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah,
Yeah.
for
And then
sure.
all of
I
a
know.
sudden that red costume or gold, whatever it was, like
Yeah.
appears. Yeah.
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 You're so right. Yeah,
Yeah.
now that I've rewatched this, I kind of need to rewatch all of them and just see all the little Easter eggs and little
Yeah.
connections.
Slimer. I mean, that whole
Slimer. Oh yeah, we
scene.
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the hotel,
Yeah.
right?
And then I liked it on Ghostbusters 2 when he's riding the bus and he picks up
Oh
Lewis on the
yeah,
way
yeah.
to, yeah. So like, and they made him more friendly because the cartoon was really popular.
Yes.
And I know I obviously watched the cartoon, and
yeah.
it was Slimer and the Real Ghostbusters. It was called.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah.
You're right.
So
Okay,
like they
wow.
made Slimer good, and
What
yeah.
channel was the cartoon on? Do you remember? Was it on like
For me, it was
ABC or something?
ABC. Yeah, in the
Okay,
morning,
yeah.
9 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah,
Saturday morning?
Yeah, and I would cry if I woke up at 10 because I missed it. So then my grandmother would record it on a VHS for me in case I was
Aw.
sleeping. Yeah.
Starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis. Coming to save the world. Ghostbusters.
I also love going back to the finale. Go get her, Ray. Because they're like, all right. And like
Yeah.
Bill Murray really is so funny. I know he can be, like we were saying, he and Harold
Yeah.
Ramis, and going back to Charlie's Angels, he and Lucy Liu hated each
Right.
other. Like he definitely rubs people the wrong way. He's not the best guy. I think he's also had maybe some sexual allegations, I feel like, over the
Yeah.
years, different
Yeah.
things. But at least performance wise in this movie, I mean, this was soon after Tootsie, which I've talked about, which he's great in. I mean, he was really so funny and good in these movies.
Yeah.
Just his delivery, his eyes.
I know.
Like, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Or like
So
when they're in the apartment, and then I don't know who says like, where do the stairs go? And he's like, they go up. Like, yeah, like,
yeah.
And then
I laughed at that too.
Then it lightnings, and then he goes and like makes like Egon go first or somebody. Where
Yeah.
Ray.
Have you ever gone to like a Ghostbusters party? Because I feel like there are diehard fans that dress up, that like go to themed parties. Have you ever done anything
probably
like that?
my own. Probably my own.
Yeah.
Probably my own with just myself. Like,
I'm surprised.
Like
I feel like you some years should go to
I know.
Because they do them every now and then. I've seen
Yeah.
like invites online, like goes like in Brooklyn, like all over. And then of course at the Firehouse,
Well, on June 8th, because it was the 40th anniversary, I had Special Olympics with my nephew, but I was like, I could have went to New York, and they went to all they went to the apartment building, Tavern on the Green.
Okay.
And they went to the Firehouse, and I think maybe Ernie Hudson made an appearance. I don't know. I follow all these things on Instagram.
Yeah.
And everybody was dressed up, and they had like Ecto-1 and like everything. I was trying to rent Ecto-1 for my 40th birthday just to drive around town, but I couldn't find one because they do rent, like people make replicas and you can rent them and then just drive them around. That's all I wanted
that
to
is
do.
so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into the price, and maybe 1 year for your birthday. You might see Ecto-1. I'm gonna write that down right now. Okay, before I forget. Oh my gosh, Ecto-1 New Jersey. I just found an
there's
Instagram
one?
page. Oh yeah, there's one in New Jersey. Okay, I have the email address. All right, I'm saying no more.
Okay.
Oh, that's so fun. Okay, I think it's one of the newer ones for like the newer movies, but that's so cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I will be looking at that later. Okay.
It's a legacy that began with my great-grandfather's work in spiritualism. And so it feels great to be back in the jumpsuit and doing it. Obviously, I feel privileged that audiences still want to see.
Dan Aykroyd, his family, they really were into the paranormal. And I forget what they were like, I can't think of the name, but they were into seances and stuff like that. And he got the idea from reading all those books growing up.
Wow.
Oh, they were spiritualists. Cool. That's what they were called. But he grew up with that. And his dad.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. And his dad was like into that. And that's where he got the idea.
I read briefly that when he wrote this and was, trying to, pitch it to studios and everything, like, I feel like I did read somewhere that, like, he did, of course, like, which is common, get some no's. Like, people did not think it was going to be profitable, didn't think it was going to be worth it. But, I mean, it's just so funny now to even think that, because now it's such a $1 million franchise, mega millions, right?
Yeah.
It's like, he's like us. It's like, you're just a kid interested in, like, spooky, interesting, spiritual, other dimension stuff, and then you write an idea and there you go. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. I love that. He's a weirdo just like us.
Yeah,
yes,
I know.
Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
I love it. And that's so fun because I just remembered in Afterlife, the newest one. Oh no, I'm sorry. Frozen Empire, the newest one. He has some fun stuff to do with cool, creepy books and stuff. And he's there like in the occult section of his store or whatever. Like that was fun to see him with some cool spooky stuff for sure. Yeah. Love it. Well, it made millions. It obviously spawned a bunch of sequels, video games, merchandise. I mean, hello. I mean, I feel like most people around the world at least know the name Ghostbusters. Right. They know the song for sure. What an iconic song, right?
Yeah.
Oh my! You want to sing some of the song for me, Solana?
No, you can sing it. I'll leave it to you.
But it's so good.
Yeah.
Even just the beat, right? Like, and I love the beginning, how it's like a little like, spooky. And then
I did that in my mom's dance recital because I was like, Mom, we have to do Ghostbusters. And the theme at the time was like 50s and 60s music. But then there was Ghostbusters because I wanted to do Ghostbusters.
That's so funny. I love it. Cool. Very cool. I just was randomly remembering also a shot that really made me like light up as a kid was once like the red like orbs, like the ghosts and demons are flying around, and like Sigourney really is like, drawn to it and everything. Also, I forgot half of her apartment just completely blows off.
I know. Yeah.
That is so crazy. But I just remember there's like a kind of scary skeletal ghost cab driver. Do you remember that moment in the movie? Yeah. I just remember like being like, okay, this is my kind of movie that now the ghosts are everywhere, like chaos, like so much fun.
Yeah.
And speaking of chaos and things everywhere, I feel like that's a good time now. Let's switch over to Gremlins. Okay.
Billy Pelser has a nice home.
Billy, is that you?
Yeah, Mom, it's me.
A nice job. A nice girl.
If you're not doing anything this Thursday night, maybe you'd like to go out on a date with me?
I'd love to.
And loving parents who are about to give him...
You're gonna like this. No, don't shake it. We're gonna have to open it now. It won't wait till Christmas.
The most unusual gift he ever got.
What is it?
No.
It's your new pet.
Come on, Barney, be a good dog.
Directed by Joe Dante, who, interestingly enough, before Gremlins, you might have seen this, Solana, he directed like some actual like horror movies. Piranha, The Howling. So fun,
wow.
so good.
Yeah.
The Twilight Zone movies. So it was fun to kind of get now him to do Gremlins, which, like we said, gateway horror, but not actually scary. I mean, there's some thrilling moments that we can talk about, but like, I'd say actually Ghostbusters for me was maybe a little creepier at times than Gremlins ever was. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Like Gremlins
because like to me, ghosts. Well, I believe in ghosts.
Yes.
But Gremlins, like, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can I just say, I mean, I have been such a Gizmo stan since I was a kid and first saw this movie. I still to this day, when I watch this movie, like I rewatched it earlier today. I watched it a few years ago on Christmas. It's funny how it's such a Christmas movie, but came out in June, right? But I just look at him on screen. I love Gizmo so much.
I know, he's so cute. He
Like,
really
no matter what
is.
age we are, he is so stinking cute and expressive. And like, again, it's truly amazing that like, that was a prop, you know? They created this animatronic thing. It's eyelids, it's smiling, you know, like, it's just so impressive, right? Like
I
true movie
know.
magic.
Yeah.
Right?
He was so cute. And like I was saying to you before, I think we started recording, I had the doll and I asked my mom if she threw it out and she doesn't remember. But if I find that too, like I have so much and it's just all in storage, but
I feel like you have a storage like full of spirits and items that have connections and like
I know.
I just feel like
and
things are jumping
autographs.
around in there.
I know.
Annie Potts. And,
Annie Potts. Yeah.
Hey Rewinders, hope you're liking this episode, and if you are, don't forget to leave a rating or a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Speaking of friends, I wanted you to hear from fellow Gremlins fan Kavin Budram, who tells us why he loves this franchise too.
Hi, my name is Kavin, and I'm a huge Gremlins franchise fan. I love both films as well as the excellent animated series that's airing on Max, and I just love everything about Gremlins. Like, I remember seeing the first film as a kid, like sometime in the 90s when it was airing on television during Christmas time, and I was like immediately hooked. Like, what stuck out for me the most was like the kitchen scene with the mom, you know, when she's attacked by the gremlins. Oh my God, that was terrifying to watch as a kid. And I was like, all about it. It was just my favorite. I watched it every Christmas, and I was like really surprised to find out that it was not actually a Christmas movie because it was released in theaters like in June. So that was surprising to find out. And I love the second film, and as well, I think I may even. Well, I not think I know. Like I love it more than the first one, even though the first one is like very close to my heart. But that second film is like so off the wall bonkers in the best way that I'm convinced that nothing in cinema history could ever top that. Like nothing before and nothing after. It's just iconic. Happy 40th anniversary, Gremlins, and thank you for existing.
My dad gave it to me.
But there are a few things to keep in mind.
What are the 3 rules, right? No sunlight.
If you expose it to the light, you may hurt it.
No water.
If you get it wet, it will multiply.
All that from water? They got wet?
Yeah, plain water.
And no feeding after midnight.
It's like me.
Something you and I have to remember.
Yeah.
Right?
And most important, no matter how much they beg, never let them eat after midnight. Because when they do, they change.
I think I'm a gremlin.
I know. Seriously, all 3 of those things we got to be careful because sunlight, obviously, we got to be careful with our skin.
Yes.
Water, the older I get, I'm like, I don't want to shower. I don't feel like going through all that
my
right
hair,
now.
my hair, like
Then you got to moisturize.
Yes.
I'm like, oh God, I don't even have time for a shower, right?
Yeah.
So water, and then of course that, and honestly, I really cannot eat after midnight. If I'm snacking after midnight, that means I'm up for a while. Which is actually crazy because I'm going to fall asleep any minute because I can't stay up all that late anymore.
No, I know.
If it's 1 and I'm awake, those eyelids are shutting pretty soon.
Yeah.
So I should not be snacking, right?
Yeah.
Now, okay, so you told me you couldn't really remember when you first saw Ghostbusters. You just saw it as a kid. When did you first see Gremlins? Do you have any memories of where you were, how old you were when you first saw this one?
I was probably kindergarten or first grade because I think they probably like replayed it on HBO and then like other kids talked about it and then I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And then I think there may have been like a cartoon or a Nintendo game that everybody wanted. So I wanted to see what Gremlins was, you know, what it was all about. And then I don't think it scared me.
Right.
I remember I just loved Gizmo and I wanted like a real one. Like I was like, I'm not one of them. Yeah.
Totally, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like everyone our age at some point had like a Gizmo stuffed animal or a little
Yeah.
toy or something. Or like I think we even had like, I know we had like ET candles. I feel like we had Gizmo Christmas decorations, which makes sense since
Yeah.
this is a Christmas movie. You know, when Zach Galligan, who's so cute. We have such
Yeah.
cute leads. Zach Galligan and Phoebe Cates. Oh my God. I
Yeah.
mean, so adorable, right? And
Yeah.
little Corey Feldman, like
I know.
the cast
Yeah.
is great. Just like in Ghostbusters, really great people. But you know, when he puts the little Santa hat on Gizmo as they're like, you know, hanging out playing. But I feel like we had like a few little decorations of Gizmo with a Christmas hat and everything. Yeah. Oh man. So
Yeah.
cute. And then of course then we get the scary ones, which I also loved. And they're
Yeah,
funny.
they're funny.
You know, they're a little creepy. I mean, I'd say the scariest scene in the movie, because keep in mind, and I've talked about this before on the show, Gremlins and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, which just came out a few weeks prior, they were like instrumental in creating PG-13, the rating,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Because a month before, that wasn't around, you know? But these
Yeah.
movies were more intense than PG, but obviously not R-rated. So, yeah, which makes sense. I mean, it is kind of crazy to think of some movies as like PG before them that are like,
Right.
what? You know? But there is that one scene in Gremlins that is a little spooky with the teacher at school, where once he lets his class out and he has, you know, the pods and he was
Yeah.
doing work on Gizmo or and you know whatever, then he like puts his hand under to try to like feed it, and then the camera zooms in and he's screaming as the bad
Yeah.
gremlins are, you know, ripping his hand off or whatever,
Yeah.
right? You know, so that was like
Yeah.
probably the most intense moment from what I can remember, right?
Yeah. And I think the lady on the motorized step thing.
Oh my God, what a scene. What a scene.
Yeah.
Okay, my two most favorite scenes in the movie are that scene, so memorable. First off, we have to just say this is as the town is being overrun by all these gremlins because they just keep multiplying for various reasons. This came right after the pool scene where the one bad gremlin jumps in the water and it just
Yeah.
is bubbling. Oh my, I remember like being so excited and nervous. I'm like, oh boy, we
Yeah.
are in for it, right? And then you see him running around town doing crazy stuff, and then they're caroling at her house, which is just amazing. It's just so good.
I warned you, Brad!
And that's Mrs. Deagle. We hate her. She's the
Yeah.
Wicked Witch, right?
Yeah.
And you know what's great? It's funny because like when we meet her earlier, you could even hear a little bit of like music that feels very like
Yeah.
dun, 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 you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the way she dies with that motorized, what are those called? Like a stair chair or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah. 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 And,
right?
yeah. I want to say a jazzy, but a jazzy is the scooter that you ride. It like yeah, it's not.
Right.
But it was
yeah.
like that, but it goes up the steps.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. And she's
Yeah.
just so nasty. She wants to, much like the Wicked Witch and your little dog too. She does
Yeah.
not like Billy's dog. And so
No.
here she is later on in the movie. She's got these demon Christmas carolers. I love how she's like, no,
Yeah.
they've come for me. I'm not ready yet. She thinks they're like, I guess, angels coming to get her and bring her
Yeah.
to, I don't know, right? And they tamper with her stair chair and that thing goes flying. And I love
Yeah.
that shot. I will never get over that shot of then all of a sudden cut to the wide of the house and she's
Yeah.
being thrown out the window, right? And then she dies with her feet up,
Up.
similar to the feet, you know, with the house crushing,
Crushing
you know,
the
right and Wizard of
Yeah.
Oz. So I'm like, that's so funny, a little nod there for sure. But yeah, that
Yeah.
moment is so fun, so iconic. Always makes me want to go on one of those things. You don't see them too much anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like.
No. Polly Holliday, I just keep on thinking of her from Alice. Like she was
Yes.
yeah. So like
Mhm.
I think it took me a long time to hate her because I loved her in Alice.
Yeah.
So like
Uh-huh.
yeah.
She's a great, like in this movie, she's just so fun to hate. And another Chris Columbus connection going back to Mrs. Doubtfire. She's in Mrs. Doubtfire briefly. I
Oh,
remember
right.
when I talked about that, I think she was in some deleted scenes, but she is like again the kind of snarky neighbor who doesn't like Robin Williams. So she kind of like was a version of herself in Gremlins, which I thought was so cute because also with the Chris Columbus connection, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, and a year later he then went on to write The Goonies. So I mean, this was early in his career. He had only written one other movie, which was a movie called Reckless with Daryl Hannah, and then Gremlins, and then that like really kicked off his career with writing, directing, producing. It's amazing what he's done.
Yeah.
Because you know, we all know Spielberg, Scorsese. I mean, obviously there are some mega famous directors, but you sometimes forget about Chris Columbus. But it's like he's made some of the biggest movies of our lives, you know, especially our age. You know?
I think we grew up in a good time of like movie wise. Movie, music wise.
Right on the cusp of like technological innovation and fun ideas and and like we said, us horror kids can get a kick out of these things because of the weird, dark, twisted subject matter, you know, where it's like, turn it on. This is nothing. You crybabies,
I know.
you know, fend for yourselves. I'm in it. I'm into it, you know? So that one. And then another one I love that is so like, when I think of Gremlins, I think of this scene, the mom fighting them off in the house during,
do you
hear what I hear? Right? What a spooky song.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah.
It's already so creepy. Like when she goes up there, she hears the noises, she sees the gross, gooey, very alien-like, you know, Alien the movie from a few years prior, going back to Sigourney, you know, all gross. And then the song starts. She's got the knife. It's just so perfect. It's no horror movie, you know?
And then she puts one in the blender, right?
Yeah.
She
presses the button, the green blood. She stabs another. She says, what does she say? Get out of my kitchen, I think. She says, get out of my kitchen. And then she stabs it. She is like final girl, badass, you know, like Scream Queen. And you know what's amazing? You probably know this. She is Dewey and Tatum's mom in Scream. That's the same actress.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I forget her name right now. I should know it. Let me look her up real quick and I'll shout her out. She doesn't have much to do in Scream. It's basically a cameo, maybe like one line, but she's there with them in the kitchen. Perfect. Where with Sydney spent the night sleeping, you know, with in Tatum's room, and they're watching Cotton Weary on the TV. Do you remember that moment?
Oh yeah. Okay.
And Liev Schreiber is just in that one shot, you know? It's Frances Lee McCain. That's the actress's name. Yep. So oh man, she's in Scream as Mrs. Riley, which honestly, I would love for her to come back as a little cameo in a Scream sequel, but I don't know if we'll ever get that, you know? All the great, you know, knife action. She's killing them off. The Christmas tree. I mean, how iconic, right? I mean, how perfect can you get? It's in there. It's just, I love that whole sequence. It's so awesome. And I'm sure many kids our age at that time were probably so freaked out, especially, a Christmas tree. I'm like, bring it on.
I know.
Let's have a scary Christmas, you know?
The thing I was worried about the most when I first watched was the dog. I was like, please don't kill the dog. Please don't kill the dog. You know?
I know. I get worried every time I see it when the dog is strung up outside in the Christmas lights.
I know.
I'm like, okay, this is already getting a little too intense for me, you know? Ugh. And it's great because that happens early on. So that's when you know, like, okay, I mean, you already can tell, but things are starting to get weird, starting to get a little dark and twisted, right? Yeah. Like, I love the moment when they discover the gross green pods upstairs in his like attic bedroom, which was also so cool. And she's like, you didn't feed them after midnight, did you? And he's like, no, I made sure. And he goes to the clock and he picks it up and we all realize, oh, and he shows they cut the cord and he says something like, Mom, what's going on? You know, and it's just such a good, like, ooh, dun dun dun.
What's going on here?
When they're in the bar.
Yes.
Right, they're in the bar. Like, they're really funny though. Like,
they're so funny.
Yeah. Like, that's why I was never really afraid.
I think they call him Stripe. Like, the one bad one is like actually serious, and that's like the great big finale, the showdown at like the toy store, the department store. But yeah, they're at the bar, and I love how Phoebe Cates is still. She's not just leaving the bar; she's like trying to serve them, and she's still there. I'm like, girl, get out, go.
I know. Yeah. Now, who like, did the actual Gremlins? Was Jim Henson a part of it? Because I know Howie Mandel was the voice of Gizmo.
Howie Mandel, really?
Yeah. Yeah. He was
That
the
is
voice.
so
Yeah.
amazing and random. Wow, I had no idea.
And then they had the cartoon for a little bit, and he did the voice, I'm pretty sure,
that's so
for the
funny.
cartoon.
Howie Mandel as Gizmo. That's so random. I had no idea, Solana. I was today years old. This minute.
Yeah.
Wow, you just taught me something that is a bit mind-blowing for sure. I mean, Howie Mandel.
Yeah,
How
I
random.
know.
Like America's Got Talent, famous
Right.
germaphobe.
Yeah.
He's the voice of Gizmo. Wow. Interesting.
They become clever, mischievous, and dangerous.
Gremlins, huh? Little monsters.
Right.
I know it was written by Chris Columbus, which is so funny. I mean, that
Yeah.
guy is involved in so many epic, iconic movies. Home Alone, The Goonies, Harry Potter. I mean, that guy, Mrs.
Yeah.
Doubtfire, that guy has done so many massive movies.
Yeah.
A guy named Chris Wallace designed Gizmo and the other Gremlins.
I could see Jim Henson making.
Yeah.
Although they don't have that look.
I could
how they
at
all
least
have
see
that-
him involved with like Gizmo, like
Yeah.
how it's a little weird, a little soft,
Yeah.
but like fantasy fairy tale kind of,
Yeah.
like I could see that, but no, I don't think he was. That's interesting. I could honestly watch it every year, and I love the sequel. I haven't seen the sequel in so long. Do you remember the sequel?
Oh,
In the city?
yes. That
With the female gremlin?
Yeah. Yeah, with the lips.
With the lips. Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's amazing. I always say that one woman from Mob Wives looks like the
Big
female gremlin.
Ange.
Big Ange.
Oh,
yes.
Big Ange, rest in
I
peace.
know.
I know. I
RIP,
loved her.
I know. I forget. How did she die? What did she die of? Do you remember?
Oh, Big Ange?
Yeah.
I think lung cancer. She went,
yeah.
she was on Dr. Oz, and then like 2 weeks later, she was gone.
That's
Yeah.
right. I remember it was sudden. You're so
Yeah.
right. Oh man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Big Ange reminds me of that.
Yeah, I know. With the lips. I know. But then how about the one that started singing New York, New York?
Uh-huh.
And then all the little gremlins were like doing the kick line.
Uh-huh.
And then they had, or wait, was it in the first one? No, I think the first one at the bar, they had the flasher. Or was that the second one? Yeah.
I feel like it's the first one. I can't
Yeah.
remember now. Oh man, I just remember the second one freaked me out. Maybe that's where I really got my fear of spiders because
Yes, that was.
do you remember the spider gremlin?
I still remember that noise, and when I hear it outside, I think of that gremlin. Yeah,
it's like a cicada sound or
yes,
something.
yeah.
That was scarring.
Yeah.
That was freaky. That was weird. That went a little too far.
Yeah.
But yeah, the weird gremlin, the big spider legs, that was crazy. But that's a good one too. And also what a great sequel to get it to take it to a new location. I feel like every good sequel does that, right? To bring it to the city and this building and everything.
Billy, what are these things? Where do they come from?
Look, I know it sounds crazy. I know. But in a few hours, you're going to have a major disaster on your hands.
Yeah, and it's funny. We haven't, unlike Ghostbusters, we've only had the 2 movies, and there have been some shows and stuff, some series and animated stuff. I did hear that they are in the works of doing a Gremlins 3, but haven't heard much. Yeah, I guess there's like an idea, but nothing really new to report besides that, but that could be really fun. I feel like we could get more mileage out of that, at least one more just to maybe catch up with some characters. I mean, it's funny, neither of the leads really do anything that much anymore, so we probably would want to bring in some new famous faces.
I was gonna say, who would you recast? Like who would be
let's say, I mean, I don't even know if Phoebe Cates acts anymore because she really I know she's still with Kevin Kline, the actor. Billy, Zach Galligan would probably come in at least as a cameo, or at least as like the dad of someone. That could be kind of fun since his dad gave him this gift, but yeah, who would do it now? Like, who's kind of funny, but also like a bit of a heartthrob? If Ryan Reynolds was younger, someone like his type, Oh, I mean, Tom Holland's already so busy, but I could see like a Tom Holland type, Spider-Man. He's younger, he's funny, action, someone like that,
for some reason, Alice and Jenny would be Polly Holliday. Like, I don't know why. Like, I feel like,
Oh my God, you are so
right?
smart. Sign me up. And
Right?
has that perfect kind
She
of
has
humor
that,
for this.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, genius.
Because she
Genius.
could be mean, but like
Mhm.
funny too. Like,
Yeah, she could
yeah,
be mean in a funny way.
yeah,
Like she'd be like, "Now get me that,"
yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Her or like
Uh-huh.
Christine Baranski or somebody, because they had
Oh
that kind of
yeah.
look. Like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I
Uh-huh.
mean, they would
I
have to
like
make it.
icy, but
Yes.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because like this cast is so great for Gremlins, but they didn't really have the trajectory that like the Ghostbusters cast is.
Right. Yeah.
They're all still super busy, super, top tier, right?
Yeah.
So it is interesting. But yeah, I could totally see more of this and we can explore more of like the origins of the Gremlins. Like, dad goes to Chinatown, which
Yeah.
it is interesting. It's very 80s, very
Right.
US in the 80s to like be afraid of like the Chinese, be afraid of
Yeah.
foreign things. Even Murray, the older neighbor who's in both films, he even says like, "God, I hate foreign cars," or something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's a little bit of like, foreign fear here, so that'd be
Yeah.
interesting to maybe expand upon, where these things came from, maybe have more of an Asian
Right.
cast,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
could be really cool,
Yeah. Or bring in like the background more of the, what are they called? Mogwais?
The
Like,
Mogwais, yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
like have the store owner be more in like the
Yes,
remake. So it's
absolutely.
not so like stereotypical like it was, because it
Mhm.
kind of was in the 80s, like going
Mhm.
to Chinatown and the store. Just, have it less stereotypical, and
Yeah.
then bring him in more. Because you only
Yeah.
really see him at the beginning, right? At the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
Does he go back to the store to return them? I'm trying to.
No, at the end, the man, the old Asian man comes back, I just feel like that guy is
Yeah.
so iconic. What a look. He's
Yeah.
got the white hair. He
Yeah.
shows up at the house. He's able to like,
Oh, right.
I forget, track them down, and he shows up and he's basically
Yeah.
like, "You should not have taken my Mogwai. You broke all the rules. I'm
Yeah.
taking him." So
Yeah.
and that's why again I need to rewatch the second one, much like Ghostbusters 2. I got to have a whole marathon day.
Gremlins, directed by Joe Dante. They'll be expecting you.
And another scene I love in the first one, and I just remembered it so well, and it was one of the first times where like I really kind of like understood as a kid, like, oh my God, like this movie is showing other movies within the
Right.
world of
Yeah.
this, where they're all at the movie theater singing along
Yeah.
to Snow White. I just
Right.
thought that was
Yeah.
so brilliant,
Yeah.
fun little
Yeah.
Easter eggs. They're watching It's a Wonderful Life because it's a Christmas movie at Christmas time. There's like another movie. Oh, I think the Billy and Gizmo are watching the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers,
Oh,
which is kind of
right.
fun with the
Yeah.
pods.
Pods.
And
Yeah.
because I remember that because Gizmo's in bed looking so scared and
I
nervous,
know. Yeah.
It's just so fun. Very clever. Such a
Yeah.
fun movie. And it's again, like I said earlier, what a fun surprise because Gremlins especially might have been a major dud. That I feel
Right.
like is sort of a surprise success, you know?
Yeah. And you know what movie I think tried to copy that? I can't think of what it's called, but they're these round things with spikes and they would roll.
Critters.
Ghoulies.
Oh,
Critters or
Ghoulies.
ghoulies?
Okay, yeah, I
Like
think
ooly.
Ghoulies. Yes.
Ghouly, ooly.
Of course you think of
Yeah,
Ghoulies.
yeah.
Yes. Ghoulies, but
Yeah.
Critters too. I think
Critters.
I can't remember if Critters came out before Gremlins. Let me see.
Because
I
what's the
forget, but
one like they had spikes and they would roll? Was it Ghoulies or Critters? No, maybe it was Critters.
I think it was Critters. I was obsessed with the Critters movies as a kid. Okay, Critters came
Yeah.
out 2 years after Gremlins.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You know
and
how like
Leonardo DiCaprio's in Critters
yes.
3. I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
I
You know how like
used to own them all.
they try to copy, like, you know how everybody tried to copy like American Horror Story with different
Yep.
like I think that's what they did after Gremlins, because you couldn't
Oh,
really
yeah.
copy Ghostbusters. I mean,
Yeah,
there was really
yeah.
no way of doing that. But
Right.
like you could always do some kind of creature that's cute and then multiplies and it's like
I'm just looking up pictures of Critters and now Ghoulies. Yeah,
Yeah.
Ghoulies came out. Oh, Ghoulies came out the same year, 1984.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so they were all
Okay.
like the same kind of
Yep.
idea. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yep, right around the same time. Exactly. That was also so 80s. Same with the slashers.
Yeah.
They were all kind of like trying to copy each other, change little things. Exactly. But that's why I love the 80s, because it was all so crazy and so obvious cash grabby. But I mean, a lot of it was pretty great and fun. And, you know, I feel like a lot of movies don't even have that much fun anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know.
they didn't take themselves seriously. You know, we got a middle-aged woman with a knife blending up and microwaving Gremlins.
Know.
I just am like,
Gremlins,
yes, sign me up. We're like, I am so for it, you know? So,
I just want to show my drink real quick. It's for the
Yes.
theme of the night. Green for
Yes.
Slimer and green for a
Exactly.
blended Gremlin.
Exactly.
And it's all sparkly.
You're so right with the sparkles.
Yeah.
Exactly. Slimer and the gremlin blood spewing all over the kitchen. I love it.
So if your air conditioner goes on the fritz, or your washing machine blows up, or your video recorder conks out, before you call the repairman, turn on all the lights, check all the closets and cupboards, look under all the beds, because you never can tell. There just might be a gremlin in your house.
Thank you for listening to or watching this 80th episode of Release Date Rewind, and thanks so much to my friend Solana Sorrento for coming back and rewinding with me. Some more fun facts for you before we go. Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ivan Reitman reworked the Ghostbusters script together on Martha's Vineyard, one of my most favorite places, in the summer of '83. Sigourney Weaver crawled on all fours and howled like a dog during her Ghostbusters audition, and it was her suggestion for Dana to become possessed by Zool. And on the Gremlins side, writer Chris Columbus got the idea because of mice skittering around at night in his apartment. How pleasant is that? Thank you also to Kevin for his cameo, and if you follow me on Instagram at Release Date Rewind, you might have voted in my recent poll on which of these two movies would you have seen in the theater back on June 8th, 1984, and Ghostbusters won by a hair, 52 to 48%. Thank you, Straw Hut Media, Kyle Motzinger, Greg Clements, and Portland Media Center. And next time, everybody, on this podcast, we are continuing with summer blockbusters, but we're going full 1994 action. And in the words of Dr. Peter Venkman,
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.